Hey, my reactors, so I'm back again with the women of the Bible. So this Tamar, daughter-in-law of Judah, her character, driven by one overwhelming need, she sacrificed her reputation and nearly her life to achieve her goal. Her sorrow that the men of her life failed to fulfill their responsibility, leaving her a childless widow. Her joy that her daring behavior resulted not in ruin, but in the fulfillment of her hopes to bear children. Her story, she hardly made compelling reading at bedtime, or any other time for that matter. Perhaps you're welcome. Perhaps you welcome them with a yawn or skip over them entirely as you read through the Bible. But even long lists of bewilderness names can reveal insights into God's mysterious plan. That's the way the scripture works, yelling hidden riches on every page. Take the first chapter of Matthew, for instance. It lists a grand total of 41 male ancestors of Jesus, beginning with Abraham and Mary, 5 female ancestors, 3 of whose stories, those of Tamar, Rahab, and Bathsheba, are colored by such distasteful details as incest, prostitution, fornication, and murder. Wow. Jesus, the perfect son of the perfect father, had plenty of imperfect branches in his family tree, even colorful character to populate a modern romance novel. That woman should be mentioned at all in his surprising. Let alone that 4 of the 5 got pregnant out of wedlock. In addition, 4 of the women were foreigners, or foreigners, not Israels. Tamar fell into both categories. Her father-in-law, Judah, son of Jacob and Leah, had arranged for her to marry his firstborn, half Canaanite and half Hebrew. Was a wicked man, half Hebrew. Was a wicked man whom God killed for his sins, that we all know of him. After came Onan, Judah's second son. As the custom of the time, Judah gave Onan to the widow Tamar, instructing him to sleep with her so that she could have children to carry on earned line. But Onan was far too crafty for his own good. He slept with Tamar, but then spilled the semen on the ground, thus ensuring Tamar barrenness and showing that she was a baroness. That way he would not be saddled with responsibility for children who were carried on his brother's line rather than his own. But God took note and Onan too died for his wickedness. Already Judah has lost 2 sons to Tamar. Should he risk a third? Shelah was his only remaining son, not yet fully grown. To placate his daughter-in-law, Judah instructed Tamar to return to her father's house and live as a widow until Shelah was of marriageable age. But time passed like a sluggish river, and Tamar continued to wear her widow garments. After Judah's wife died, he set out one day for Timnah to shear his sheep. Hearing the news of her father-in-law's journey, Tamar decided to take the desperate. Y'all, bear with me. Tamar decided to take desperate and dramatic actions. If Judah would not give his youngest son in marriage, she would do her best to propagate the family name in her own way. Shedding her widow blacks, she disguised herself in a veil, impersonating a prostitute, and sat down beside the road to Timnah. Mistaking her for a shrine prostitute, Judah slept with her and gave her his personal seal and cord along with his staff in pledge of future payment. After about 3 months later, Judah learned that Tamar was pregnant. Little realizing he was responsible for her condition. Outraged that she had prostituted herself, he ordered her burned to hell. He ordered her burned to death. But before the sentence could be carried out, Tamar sent him a stunning message. I am pregnant by the man who owns these. See if you recognize whose seal and cord and staff these are. The man who had so quickly passed judgment, little heeding his own secret trust with a prostitute, was suddenly taken up short to his credit. He told the truth, saying, she is more righteous than I, since I wouldn't give her to my son Sheila. 6 months later, Tamar gave birth to twins. Once again, as with Jacob and Esau children struggling in her womb, a tiny hand came out and then disappeared, but not before being tied with a scarlet thread by the midwife. Then a small slippery body emerged, but with no trace of red thread. They named the first boy Perez, meaning breaking out. Then a little one with the scarlet ribbon was born, and they named him Zeron, meaning scarlet. Perez was recognized as the firstborn. From his line would come King David, and finally, hundreds of years later, Jesus of Nazareth. Judah had shown little concern regarding the continuance of his line. Instead, God used a woman's shame by her own barrenness and determined to overcome it to ensure that the tribe of Judah would not only survive, but that it would one day bear the world Messiah. Her life and time. It's a horror. I hope I said it right. It's a horror as it seems to us. Prostitution was actually an expression of worship in the ancient Near East. Pagan people often believed the fertility gods granted blessings to those who practiced cultic prostitution. The sacrifice and the payment for the use of a cult prostitute brought huge amount of money into the coffers of the gods or the goddess being worshipped. The sexual intercourse itself symbolized the hope for fertility and abundance of the harvest. Judah, a widower who had only recently recovered from his grief, traveled to Tamar during sheep shearing time to watch his own sheep being sheared of their wool. It may be that when he saw Tamar, he took her for a shrine prostitute and had intercourse with her to ensure a good crop of wool that, of course, in no way justified Judah's acts, but it does shed some light on the possibility of the possible motives. Shrine prostitutes usually kept themselves heavily veiled before and during the act of intercourse, and attempt to create the illusion that the participant was actually engaging in a sexual act with the goddess herself. This practice worked to make Tamar's favor, giving her the perfect disguise so that her father-in-law would never recognize her. Prostitution was the imaginary use often by the biblical prophets to describe Israel's waywardness, their proneness to follow false gods. They saw God as the husband of Israel, her keeper and her true love. Whenever the Israelites turned from the true God to false gods, they prostituted themselves. It's a strong picture, but an accurate one of turning away from the God who truly loved them and was willing to care for them and watch over them if only they would remain true to him. Tamar's story takes us by surprise, repulses us. We recall from the sordid detail of prostitution and find little to inspire us. Yet stories like Tamar's are what make the Bible so believable. Who would ever invent such a thing, then record it not only in the historical narrative, but also in the lineage of the Messiah. Only the God of eternal surprises. The God who takes the unfit, the desperate, and the profane and uses them to his eternal and holy purposes. And I will be back with another story from the woman of the Bible. So y'all have a good day. Please like, comment, and share, and subscribe. Thank y'all.